Hello, welcome everyone. I am Pierre Francois, and I will be going over the West Bank Media Training Manual with you today. Give me one moment while I pull it up. All right, so welcome to West Bank Media. This is the West Bank Media Training Manual. West Bank Media, we are located in Orlando, Florida, and serve in and around that area about a 75-mile radius. So as far north as a little bit above Daytona Beach, like Ormond Beach, and we'll go all the way out as far east to Cocoa, Melbourne, those areas, and pretty much cover coast to coast going laterally. We do video and TV production. So services like weddings, parties, sweet 16s, funeral coverage, prom coverage, small commercials for small businesses or local companies, in-house production, also do photography for all of the aforementioned events as well. Like I said before, about a 75 mile radius. And some of the areas in which we cover are listed here. As I mentioned, we do offer drone photo and videography as well, real estate, conferences, sports, etc. As you can see here, we're modestly priced, about 600 bucks, and that's a starter package. So you get a professional product, but for a decent value. You're not going to break the bank. And in a photography alone, you could easily spend $2,000 to $5,000 on wedding day photography, for example. We filed as a LLC. This is a limited personal liability. So we will not assume personally liabilities or litigation against us as individuals. Rather, the company, the entity, West Bank Media, would be responsible for those ongoings. We also will, with the LLC filing, you're allowed to manage yourself and appoint positions as fit. So you have that flexibility to appoint people to be in charge of various capacities of the company. Long-term plan, as you see on the right-hand side, here's our growth methodology. This is based off of a 25% per year increase. I think we have the capacity to do much more than that, but just being conservative, we're basing this off a 25% yearly increase. Google Ads, search engine optimization, metadata, and alt tagging are ways we're going to use, or I'm sorry, methods we're going to use to assist in that growth effort. So as you see here, next year, let's say we make approximately 7 grand or 6.5 grand off of photo services. 25% of that in 2022 would be closer to 10 grand, and so on and so forth. And you can look at the video services has the same curve, as well as the full video production. Full video production would be something like a music video, which we're not going to necessarily take on right away in large numbers. And for our price range, we're not remaking Thriller. All right. So it's going to be more of a simple videos, straightforward to the point type deals. Again, we could see much more substantial increases. This is just based off of 25% growth over the years, which is highly attainable in my estimation. Regulatory bodies that will govern our business: U.S. Copyright Office, YouTube compliance, and permission to record. Just to name a few obstacles we may encounter. For example, with YouTube, when we do a party and the client wants a specific song playing in the background, we are allowed, we are able to put that song on their video or overlay it on their video, upload it to YouTube, give them the link, and they can watch it that way. However, that is not our music. You know, let's say it's the ABC song. YouTube does allow you to use materials in that way as long as you give credit to the appropriate producer of that content. Excuse me. So in a description box, you would just say, "I do not own the rights to this music," something or something similar, and you would just have to give that disclaimer. You definitely want to register your work, ideas, slogan, logos, etc. If you think it's valuable, which should be anything you're going into business with. And and this is a great example here as well. Let's say I shoot a music video for someone and the song they use is not theirs. Then I put sued and not used. Excuse me, here I have a typo here. That could be a potential liability for us. So it's very complicated. You have to be extremely careful. Also, here, and permission to record. If there is an event where we have our contract states that we have consent to record anyone at your event. So when you sign that contract, the onus is now on you to make sure that everyone at the event is aware that they will be recorded and that material will potentially be used on the internet or located in form of a DVD or some other form of digital media. We will use bilateral contracts. We will perform service ABC in exchange for amount of money XYZ. The contract, as there is a full contract in the slides to come, but the contracts will be handled by the office representative. The contract is final once the deposit is paid, which is half of the full amount. That's also in the contract. And the operations manager, who oversees the office representative, will review all payments before final submission. So even we send out an invoice, that invoice is not marked to be, or is not able to be paid until the operation manager reviews it and sees that all details are accurate. Our five aspects of legal contract: agreement, consideration, capacity, genuineness of assent, and legality of purpose. Again, we have the entire contract right here. Event type. Let's say you choose let's do a hypothetical example here. We're going to choose a wedding. Event date, start time, location, primary contacts, email addresses, other contact information. Then we talk about copyright here further in the contract. Westbank Media reserves the right to use products, images, video, and audio, and any other variations of those described for any purposes it desires, including promotional display, publication, or reproduction in any form it desires. Legally produced for the client's private home use. Client assumes all liability for any form of copyright infringement. And then it talks about coverage, access, permission, cell phones and tablets, as far as potentially interfering with signals with our equipment, which may result in a reduction of quality. It's pretty thoroughly spelled out contract here. This is the payment details. We're in Florida, so we're talking about a 6.7% sales tax. I estimated, I think it's closer to 7%. I should have looked that up. um, we talk about format, media format, DVD compatibility, 1080 HP versus 780 versus 720. A lot of people don't understand. I can record over Westbank Media can record in 1080, but if it's being converted to a DVD or transferred rather to a DVD, and you're playing it in a DVD player, you're only gonna get the maximum resolution of 720 pixels. you would need a Blu-ray player or a personal computer that has the capacity to play 1080 above to get the full 80p. That's a complaint. Hey, this video doesn't look as sharp as Hollywood movies, and we spell out here very clearly on why that may be the case. Quality, again, we're going to try our best, but we're not getting that Hollywood form that you may have envisioned when hiring us. Liability, and then the last page here, deliver a final contract. We give ourselves a 30-day turnaround. Excuse me. We give ourselves a 6 to 9 week turnaround. They would sign here. They receive a copy of the contract. We have a copy of the contract for our records. At that point, they can make the deposit of half of the total amount. Negligence and torts. So again, very common with just sticking with this hypothetical of a performing a wedding or being a photographer at a wedding. Unsatisfactory images. Hey, you didn't catch the one where the cake was falling off my chin at the last second. The video quality, we discussed that, the 1080p versus 720 and compatible media formats. Key moments missed. Again, I gave an example of that with the cake. And unmet turnaround. Hey, it's been 4 months. We haven't received our content. They may want to try and file a civil suit or want a reduction and renegotiate the contract and things of that sort. So those are common. Those are some of the common torts and negligence you deal with in the video recording industry or photography industry. Important job description. Our key job description would have to be for a videographer. This could go either way as far as a photographer, but someone who's out in the field on the front line, and it has a description on some of the things we would want from that potential candidate. Requires someone who can stand for an elongated period of time. Prep all equipment. Make sure you have backup batteries. The equipment is fully functional. Those types of things. Capture essential moments. Again, up to 75 miles for work travel. You will be anything over that. We will have to make exceptions for, and you will be compensated whatever the going rate is for travel miles. I think it's like 53 cents, or it's right around there. And be able to, be a videographer or photographer. So you need to have high experience or not or working knowledge of DSLRs, which is digital single lens recorders, camcorders, um, mirrorless cameras, the latest and greatest technology. And they're just for extra measure, we threw in some preferable requirements there. HR duties will be handled by the office manager, as I mentioned earlier, with one support staff assistant office manager. These duties are to include, but are not limited to, payroll, scheduling, data processing, and mileage and tracking. Open events will be posted by the office manager, and employees will check the calendar and choose jobs that best fits their schedule, with a minimum of 2 events worked per month. So these are some of the duties that the that the office manager would, that are HR in implementation, but our office manager will handle those duties. We're not big enough to have a HR department in and of itself. Hiring. Office manager is responsible for the following in regards to hiring: onboarding, expectations, overview. So the office manager would be given this presentation that I'm giving right now, probably do a lot better job at presenting it. um, I-9, which is documentation that verifies your legitimacy to work within the United States in a legal capacity. Education verification. There, you have the clearinghouse for that. There's a third party. Actually, you can use for education and and the background check hire rate, whereas someone claimed to have X degree from X school, you hire higher right, and they go and verify those pieces of information and report back to you with a percent base the accuracy and or inaccuracy of those of their findings. This would be an example of something we would have on our website for with the type of work we would do. We share material on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, other social media outlets or platforms. And but for I would read something as the following: all media items associated with West Bank Media or WBM are for promotional purposes only. All downloads from this page are subject to approval explicitly from West Bank Media. Media used without consent is subject to copyright infringement. Information we may collect: IP addresses, location, web browser type, using Chromecast or Edge, etc. If you wish not, if you wish to not share this information with Westbank Media, please send a written request to the address listed on the contact page of again of the website. And finally, for our legal concept, employee versus independent contractor, we chose to go with independent contractor because a few reasons here, but we found it to be more beneficial for where we are as a company as of now. Not required to provide certain benefits if you're a smaller business or a new one starting out company, you might not have the same capacity to deliver certain benefits. And under certain employment types, you are required to provide certain benefits. So this eliminates the necessity to provide certain benefits. Not that I'm about not providing benefits, but from a legal aspect, from where the business is as of now, we chose to go with the independent contractor. Freelance workers, they typically, it's not unusual for someone to not show up to a gig. There's typically a high turnover rate in any freelance work, but I would say probably higher than not in videography and or photography type jobs. A lot of people branch out on their own after they have enough money for the capital to do their own thing. I'm doing all the work anyway, so why not do video for myself? And responsible for all actions of the contractor. Contractor gets out there and slaps the bride in the face. West Bank Media won't necessarily be responsible in the grand scheme of things for everything that was done because this person was hired as an individual contractor. So that is our training manual, and welcome to West Bank Media. And I have my works cited right here. Let that sit for a second. And I will get back to this guy. And thank you.